For more on police reform and race relations in the U.S., let's turn to Karsonya Wise Whitehead. She's the executive director of the Carson Institute for Race, Peace, and Social Justice, and a communication and African American studies professor at Loyola University Maryland. First of all, great having you. Second, reflecting on the 5 years since George Floyd's death, how would you assess the progress, or lack thereof, in achieving meaningful police reform across the U.S.?
Thank you so much for asking me to join you. I think this is an ongoing struggle. I don't think it's easily identifiable as well as easily solved. We have been talking about what does it look like to reform both the police department as well as reforming the way our community interacts with the police department. Some cities have made great strides. Some cities have been really committed to making sure that the police are integrated into the pulse of the communities. And there's some communities where there's still a lot of stress between police officers and the community. I think that the window we had for the type of reform we wanted to do around the George Floyd policing bill, I think we're at a very difficult point. I think the country has changed dramatically, and thinking about trying to accomplish something like that at this moment, I think it's going to be much more difficult. We are now talking about what does our country look like? What does it mean to see major pieces of our country begin to change around DEI, around civil rights policies, around this notion of who does a country belong to, around what we're going to do with immigration. I think that we have a lot of very pressing issues facing our country right now.
Yes, I want to stop here because given the recent rollback of many police reform initiatives and DEI programs, what do you believe are the implications for racial justice efforts nationwide?
I think this is calling for us to recommit ourselves to what this country is going to be. I think America, what is so great about it is that it is a country of diverse voices and diverse experiences. And despite perhaps people's ideas that the country only belongs to one race or one ethnicity, that is not the history of who we are. There's something about bring us your poor, tired, maddened masses who want to be free, and coming into this country as a place of freedom and looking to stake your claim here is a part of the American dream. And so it is calling on us to think very hard and very long about what is the future. We're at a very difficult moment in our country, and I cannot overstate how important it is for people to get connected with the history of our nation and really make a decision, a hard decision about what type of country they want to live in. What is the future of America at this moment, and why does it feel like it is being tested?
And Professor, I want to turn your attention to something that is within your lane. How do you see the role of education and public discourse in shaping perceptions about race and policing in the U.S.?
I think that has always been the place where we have staked our claim. When you look at American history, it's important to teach it in the most direct, the most upfront, the most honest way possible. It is not a time for lies. It is not a time for people's interpretations. Like, we may be able to argue about our opinions. We cannot argue about the facts. And America has a very strong history, and it must be taught. I think that if it's not being taught in the schools, as someone who's a former middle school teacher and a professor, if it's not taught in the school, then we should be using every environment that we have to teach the truth about who we are. So we can use libraries, we can use community centers, or we can use playgrounds. American history must be taught as accurately and as honestly as possible. You can try to rewrite it, but the facts are what they are. The fact that America was developed at the time it was developed, the fact that there was tension between the indigenous people and the settlers coming over from Europe, the fact that we had American slavery that was legalized in this country, the fact that we fought a war so it can end, the fact that we went into Jim Crow, the fact that we had the civil rights movement, the fact that we've had a women's movement, we had a movement around the LGBTQIA community, the fact that all these things have happened, even if you say ban all the books, even if you say change the curriculum, it doesn't take away from the fact that it happened. And those of us who teach the history, who know the history, who have lived the history, we have to be committed to upholding that history and making sure it's not being forgotten.
Professor Karsonya Wise Whitehead, great having you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.